you know, if you stick to it, it's going to happen in one way, shape, or form. You're going to find your own path. You have the control to create your own destiny.
Hello, my fellow Martians. My name is Harry Mars, and this is the On Mars Pod, where we take a deep dive into creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and other inspiring Martians alike.
The fear of being rejected is a huge part of why people don't, go out and reach out to people. Because the people who you surround yourself with matter. So you just never know who's going to blow up. You never know where things are going to go. And I never would have imagined having any kind of plaque on my wall, ever.
Hello, my fellow Martians. Today on Mars, we are joined by a platinum songwriter and producer, Annie Wildgen. Thank you for being here.
Of course. Happy to be here.
Annie is based in Nashville, Tennessee, but she did grow up in Grandville. So that's where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so stoked to have you on because like I was telling you before the pod started, we take a deep dive into creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and other inspiring Martians alike. Mm-hmm. So we've known each other for over 10 years now. But
yeah, a long time.
I haven't seen you in 10 years.
I know. It's so crazy because it doesn't feel like it was 10 years ago. But also at the same time, it does feel like a long time.
When you think about what's happened in the last 10 years, you're like, oh yeah, it actually has been a lot. But it's like when you think about like just in high school, it feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah, like people all look the same to me too.
For sure.
Most of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of us.
Yeah, 100%. As you were walking up, I was like, Annie hasn't aged a day.
Well, thank you. I mean, I try, but
of course. No, it's so cool to be able to like see you from back then doing what you love and then now continuing to do what you love as a career.
Yeah, so it's been crazy.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So to start off, I do want to touch on like growing up in Grandville because that was a big part of your life. You lived here for 20 plus years, or what was it, 18 years, or when did you
20
move out?
years.
20 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So 20 years in Grandville. You were growing up. Were you like playing outside and hang out with family all the time? That was everything. That was like for me.
Yeah. Back before technology kind of took over. I didn't get an iPhone until I was 22. So I never spent a lot of time. I was always outside. We have a house kind of in the woods, so we were always frolicking in the woods, basically.
Yeah.
I had a great childhood. I have nothing to complain about, honestly.
So in those early days, what were the musical influences around you? Like what was being played around the house?
Yeah, so my mom actually still plays for the West Shore Symphony.
Oh,
my dad plays the French horn. Not as often, but very musical family. I took piano lessons my whole life. My sisters were in piano, orchestra. I was in the North American Choral Company, so I was in choir for a long time. So it was just always, music was just a part of us. I listened to a lot of Shania Twain, Alison Krauss, Enya,
yes.
And then, your mainstream pop, emo, Good Charlotte and all those. But yeah, I've kind of just listened to all different genres. But my favorites were, like I said, Shania Twain was like, I was obsessed.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, when her first album came out, I listened to it every day on the ride to school and on the ride home. So she was a huge part of inspiration for me. Yeah. Obviously, people were always like, you like Taylor Swift because you're curly hair and you play guitar. And so it was kind of, okay, I see, why you'd make that connection. But she's just, I think so many people would say she was a huge impact on their start. But yeah,
I could see those influences in your music too. So it's like Shania Twain and Taylor Swift specifically.
I loved country growing up, Tim McGraw, Rodney Atkins, like I loved the songwriting aspect. And just the melodies, like they all just, I loved it.
And this was before you were actually writing songs. So this was just like things that you like to listen to as a kid just because of the music. And with country music, I feel like a lot of the emphasis is on the vocal. So I feel like that's something that probably stood out to you without even really thinking about it, you know, like all the layering and the harmonies and like how it makes you feel, get the goosebumps and all that stuff. I feel like country music does that very well.
Yeah. And I will say, Enya, she has a lot of like backup vocals when she, you know, on her records. So there's like a lot of different parts and pieces to learn when it comes to listening to her music. So I think she was a big part of why I loved harmonies. And anytime I listened to a song, I would just sing. I would either sing or hum the harmony. Like anytime I listen to a song, I still do that. It's just like a part of me.
And it comes to you naturally too.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
I mean, that's my favorite part of, honestly, the music is just finding harmonies and like layering them all. And so I do that, you know, as, you know, an extra basically hobby or part of my career. People hire me to do backup vocals, so that's always been fun.
Absolutely. And it's cool that you're able to like infuse that into your career as well. Like you don't have to be an artist to be in music.
100%.
And I think like the layers, it's almost like on piano chords. You know what I mean? You're playing one note, but then you add that triad and it sounds like a completely different feel. It's like with vocals, it's the same thing. You have that lead and then you add those layers and it sounds completely different.
Fills it out. It's beautiful. I love it.
100%. No, and then with the mixing too, you know, like having the different layers in like left, right, center type deals. Like when you get into those types of things.
Sound.
It's amazing. No, especially when the vocals are good.
Well, that's always a goal.
Absolutely. So growing up, because you had those lessons, you were classically trained, really. So it's like it was written in the stars. You're supposed to be That's
what I like to think. Yeah. I mean, I will say, of all the things I was thinking, what am I going to do when I grow up? Like, what am I drawn to? And it's always been music. Like, that's always been not even the back burner, but like a central part of my being. It's what I was called to do. And so even if I do find something that I love outside of it, there's always that piece of me that's like, you're not doing the right thing. Like this isn't what you're supposed to be doing. So it's tough. It's tough because it's such a hard, you know, it's a lucrative business. It's very hard to find success in, you know, any kind of entertainment field, music industry. It's a lot. So it's constant, you know, up, down, but it's a learning experience. And
absolutely.
I'm still learning. So
for sure. I feel like all creatives of any field are always learning. And I think that's something like all professionals, they never stop learning. And it's like they never really stop working in a way.
No, definitely.
So it's like the fact that you've been able to like find that career and like kind of always let that flame like keep burning. You know what I'm saying? Because it's really easy to, especially in like the 18, 19, 20, to kind of figure out like music is hard and then just like, maybe I'll just go to school, try to get a degree, to get a job, try to make $100K a year. Like that's like, you know what I'm saying?
And I still think about that. I'm like, man, I'm not where the traditional lifestyle leads you. It's a different kind of lifestyle, and you have to kind of prepare yourself for that and think, comparing yourself to someone who's in a completely different field. And, you know, oh, they're buying a house. Oh, they're starting a family. Oh, they're doing all these things that I'm not doing. Like, I'm not in that place. And it's difficult to accept because you're constantly like, why can't I? Why am I not there? And so, you know, but that's something you have to accept and you have to be willing to, you know, deal with.
Absolutely. It's a sacrifice, really. It's a sacrifice for a life that you want. You know what I'm saying? So in growing up in Grand Rapids, it's very traditional. So everybody that's
trust me. Anytime I come up here, I'm like, man, I feel out of place. But you go to different. Nashville, you go to LA, you go to New York, it's completely different. Like, you know, people are still living in apartments. They're you know, single at whatever age. Like there's so many you're in different places. And you feel accepted
Absolutely.
in a way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, and that's a huge deal. Like to kind of go to a place where the waves are in a way. And I use this analogy a lot. Like you'll never catch a wave if you're not even in the water. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like being in Grand Rapids where it's just basically like still water, like a lake, versus being in like the Pacific Ocean, you know, trying to catch the swell, like that type of deal. It's like you can be in it or you can not be. It's just like,
and your environment definitely matters.
Yeah, it 100% does.
Where you surround yourself with, you know, the people you surround yourself with, it matters
for sure. And that's, I mean, I think a lot of the reason why people continue to go the traditional route here is because they stayed in that traditional path. And it's just like you surround yourself with traditional people, you're going to end up being traditional yourself. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Right, yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
But everyone's path is different. So it's just like, as a creative person, obviously that wasn't your path. So you needed to, you know, make the decision to like, am I going to stay here and try to make something work, or like go to somewhere where I have like a lot more potential to have something work?
It's hard. It's a hard step.
Yeah. And I do want to kind of touch on like in school a little bit, because obviously you were playing all through school, but then like even in like high school and maybe even in middle school, you were doing like talent shows and like stuff like that.
All sorts of things.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it too was my parents were very proactive in helping me pursue music. My dad's probably like my biggest fan. So he was always pushing me to step outside of my comfort zone. And so, yeah, I sang national anthems. I did all sorts of talent contests, played at like the local fair. It's, you know, bars, of course, all sorts of places. But yeah, and I did that well into moving to Nashville too. I was playing hotels, writers' rounds, everything, just for exposure and experience. But performing was always stressful for me.
Yeah, even in those early days, like as a kid, it was probably even more so.
I would cry every time I had to perform.
It's because the nerves.
I was so afraid. I still have crippling stage fright. I mean, crippling. I don't know how else to explain it. It's, and I know, you know, even big artists get those nerves. Like it's normal.
Yeah.
But I always struggled. I would sometimes I think I would black out on stage because I just wouldn't remember. I would go retreat into myself basically and just mostly forgetting the words. That was like my number one fear because it's hard to cover up. You know, I'm not at a point where I can sing the words, audience. They don't know me.
Hold the mic out when you forget.
Exactly. You can do that at one point in your career, but no, I was never there.
No, but those early days of you performing, that was like kind of a way to jump out of that comfort zone and at least like put yourself in a position to like grow in that way. Because when you don't play in front of people, I feel like it's like you don't get a certain part of like being a musician, because like when you're playing like as a bedroom hobbyist, it's like when you're just playing to the mirror, like to your family or whatever. You don't necessarily get the external validation from strangers that a show gives you.
Yes,
so I feel like
definitely.
that you know kind of hardens you, calluses that.
Yeah, I think it's a step into becoming a professional.
Absolutely.
When you do switch from, oh, this is just something I love to do in my spare time, to, oh, I'm going to show this to people and prove that I am good enough.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a stepping stone, I think. If you're wanting to be in the music industry or wanting to be a performer, it's a must.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to anybody listening to this that's an aspiring songwriter or singer, whatever, artist, do those talent shows. If you're in high school, sign up for that talent show. Yeah. It's like you might get nervous, but you're going to thank yourself later if that's what what you want to do.
Yeah.
Especially if you win. What? Like, didn't you win a few?
I don't even know. I can't keep track of anything.
I've won so many. I don't even.
Oh my God, no. I don't even know. I can't even tell you.
I remember I was at a high school talent show, and because Matt West and those guys were singing up there,
right.
Mike Terpstra.
Yeah.
So it's like, and you were singing up there.
Middle school or high school? Did we have talent shows in high school? I don't even remember.
You were there. I think you got first or second.
What did I even do?
I remember Sam Batdorf.
Oh, I remember No, we sang the graduation ceremony at the graduation ceremony. What did we sing? It was like a Kelly Clarkson song or something.
Oh, wait, like in the auditorium?
Yeah.
Dude.
I remember. And Derek Rush played it on guitar, I think.
Yes.
I am having memories now, but gosh, I'm showing my age. But yeah. I remember doing those now. And I can't believe, honestly, some performances I look back and I can't believe that I did it.
Yeah. But it's like, I want to touch on that a little bit because the senior assembly, I think is what it was that you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, maybe that was it.
So like the graduation thing where like all the seniors sat in the middle and then like everyone was around you. And was that what?
Something like
was
that.
It that what you were singing at?
Yeah.
Because I performed at that on my grade.
Okay.
I like rapped at it.
Oh,
and
nice.
That was like...
That's super different.
Growing up inside my mind, going to college, doing fine. Start my life, get a wife, making an effort to do it right. But we are just graduating, freshmen be waiting and waiting. Don't understand how we hate it. Went by so quick, now we made it.
I did like a remix to Forever Young, and I wrote it like tailored towards like Grandville seniors.
Wow, yeah,
and it
that's
was like
cool.
a whole thing. But it's just like, I still remember that like to this day, like that was the first time that I ever got like looking out in a crowd and like seeing people like look me in the eyes and like watch me sing.
Yeah.
And it
that's
was
a scary feeling, but it's also cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things that's like, you don't understand what it feels like until you're there, especially when it's just like something where you can like look around. And I feel like that was something like, I mean, that was, 1,500, 2,000 people, like easy in that spot. So it's just like, that's like something that big artists, have to work their way up to playing a 2,000 cap room. But it's just like, saying yes to those opportunities as a kid, 18 years old, saying yes, like when you get offered like to sing at the graduation thing, like you have to say yes if that's what you really want to do.
There are a lot of, if you get the opportunity, there's some that you just cannot turn down.
Yeah.
You have to think about it that way. And it's honestly, it's like an investment. It's a learning, it's a chance to grow and really lean into what you want to become, basically.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's definitely,
it's like an emotional investment.
It's everything, and you're putting your all into it typically.
Exactly.
So
yeah. So at this point, you're graduating high school, and music is what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
So what was after high school then? Because it wasn't right away that you moved to Nashville.
I went to a year at Grand Valley.
Okay.
So basically my major was undecided. So if that tells you anything, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. But it was fun.
I want to be a musician. What am I doing here?
I really didn't I kind of took a break that year. I did do some gigs, like Maiden Street Pub. I don't know if it was a restaurant bar somewhere over in Allendale, but I played there a few times. And mostly just kind of lived the college experience for a year. And then I did visit Nashville a couple times and realized, this is where I think I want to be.
Yeah.
So that kind of solidified it. And then I got a couple jobs right before I moved and worked to save up some money until I could move over there.
Okay. So you didn't necessarily have anybody out there. You just kind of liked the scene.
I didn't know anyone. Yeah. Except I think Nikki Boone was down there before me.
Okay.
And she was the only person I reached out to when I got there. And she ended up helping me get a job there. I started working at Ruth's Chris. That was my first job outside of being a front desk associate at a hotel, but just random jobs.
Just to keep the lights on.
She was the only person I knew at the time. Otherwise, it was just very lonely.
No, man. I mean, well, I feel like sometimes that's like the best. So you have no choice but to put yourself out there.
Yeah,
it's like, well,
you have to, or you're very alone.
Yeah.
I will say I did move. When I moved into, they are related by marriage. They're kind of, family. They became, a huge part. I'm super close to them. I lived with them for a year and a half, so that was really nice. They did live outside of Nashville, so it was a bit of a drive, but I'm very grateful that I had a place to stay with people I trusted.
Yeah.
So that was comforting.
Yeah.
I know moving somewhere into a city and having to find random roommates right away is kind of a scary experience. So
yeah, that
I'm
can
lucky
scare
I
you
didn't have
out.
to do that. Yeah. Oh, trust me. Roommates are tough. But
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. I mean, it's cool though that you did that, because it's like that shows like your dedication to the craft.
Yeah.
Because it's like that's another thing where it's really easy to like go out there by yourself, missing family, especially when family's so important to you.
Yeah.
It's just like all these things. It's so easy to just be like, I'll just move back home. You
Oh,
know what
yeah,
I mean? So
100%.
easy. And it speaks a lot about like your dedication to the craft, like I said, because you didn't quit.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember it's going to take time.
Yeah.
Like, again, it's a growing experience. You have to learn. Everybody starts out very green, not knowing much, naive, and you have to put in the time in order to learn and to, grow, I think. And to just, I don't know, people give up so quickly. And I know after however many years, 2, 3, 5, it's very easy to give up hope. But, if you stick to it, it's going to happen in one way, shape, or form. You're going to find your own path and your own success. But if you give up, then nothing happens.
Yeah, then you never know.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think about this this photo online that I don't know even who created it, but it's like a picture of like 2 different guys like with pickaxes, and you've probably seen it. And they're like underground, and they're basically like pickaxing, and then well, actually no, it's not 2 different guys, it's one guy, and it basically shows the whole scene of the ground, and he like it shows him pickaxing, and he's like sweating, you know what I'm saying? And then he like stops, and it shows another scene of him like turning around with the pickaxe like on his back or whatever.
Okay.
And then in that second scene, it kind of like pans over a little bit, and he was like this far away from like all the gold and diamonds and stuff. And it's just like that's kind
sad
of
image.
it's sad image, but it's so true. And like so many people like they give up because it's like it's hard and they don't see any progress, or it's going in the wrong direction, like this roller coaster of life. And it's just like they just give up and go a different direction because they didn't see right away success. And it's like, like you said, it's like you stay in it long enough, it's going to happen like in a way that maybe you even didn't know, like you didn't see coming. And it's like that you just got to be in those positions to have that happen.
You do. And, I started this book called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. And I think any creative person needs to read it. He talks about resistance, and he kind of goes into detail about all the different ways it shows up in your life. It's that negative force that's constantly trying to tear you down, take you away from what you are called to do, basically. And it's basically how I see it is anything that takes you away from that or gives you self-doubt or negative feelings towards being creative and finding success is kind of an excuse. It's a way out, and it gets you nowhere.
For sure.
It's kind of your own demise in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you can be your own worst enemy in that sense.
Yeah.
Like getting your own way.
I think in pretty much every situation, you are your own worst. You have the control to create your own destiny.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think a lot of people believe that.
Yeah, I think it's hard, to understand, to fully wrap your head around.
Yeah.
But it truly, I do believe it. I think, the universe has its way
absolutely
of making it happen. So long as you put your energy and your work into it. Yeah. Because if you don't, then it's not going to happen.
Absolutely. It's a two-way street for sure. And it's like, it's not going to happen if you don't put yourself in the position. And it's also, it's not going to happen if you stop.
Yeah, that, for sure.
So
yeah.
it's just like, that's it. You just got to keep going and fucking just stay positive. Stay on like the, just being hungry and like keep that passion and that burning, that flame, almost like the pilot light of like who you are, who you want to be. Don't ever let it die.
Use it as fuel.
Absolutely.
Use whatever you can.
Yeah.
Going.
So in Nashville, early days, you didn't have anybody, and obviously you're doing a lot of open mics, probably doing a lot of gigs as much as you can, trying to meet promoters and all that. So how many gigs were you playing Like a week? Like what was your schedule like?
I don't know, because it was different every year. So when I first moved there, I did open mics, and then kind of turned into writers rounds, which I'm assuming you're familiar with.
I've never been to one,
Oh, okay.
but I've heard of
Yeah, they
writers'
have them all
rounds.
over town, but it's usually 2 or 3 of you, each on a chair, on stage, and you go one by one and play a song. And you usually end up playing 3 songs total. It's just a way to showcase your songwriting and your artistry and connect and make new friends.
Yeah.
And find people to work with.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, especially if you're new, to go out, even just going out to watch and introduce yourself to people, and then get up there and play whenever you can.
Yeah.
I understand with technology now, it's probably a lot easier to connect with other people online because you can put yourself out there online and everybody's online, So, but I do think it's important to do it in person.
Yeah.
And to, it's just a different vibe.
Absolutely. In person, I think there's definitely like, you feel like your energy. So it's just like versus like just sending like a blind DM and say like, hey, I saw you at whatever. Da, 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 da. It's like, well, why didn't you come up and say something?
Yeah. And I think
like,
the fear of being rejected is
Yeah.
a huge part of why people don't, go out and reach out to people.
Yeah, that's true. And I think online it's like more fear of rejection too, because of like, getting left on red, all that type of stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's a scary thing.
But in person, they can't leave you on red.
Yeah,
it's like they have one decision. They can either be nice to you or be an asshole. And it's just
true.
like, you know what I mean?
You find out who you're dealing with for
real
sure.
Quick.
Yeah.
Especially like in that kind of world of like songwriters, like your people, you know what I mean? Like that's who you want to connect with. That's who you want to make friends with. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of open doors for you in ways that you wouldn't have been able to open yourself.
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
Did that happen pretty early on for you? Like, because obviously you got connected to Kalie Shorr.
Yeah.
So Kalie Shorr, she's a good friend of yours, and you met her in that time, right? When you were kind of doing all those.
We actually met working at the Marriott Hotel.
Oh,
yeah, we were both working at the front desk.
Love that.
She's very driven with her career, with her artistry. So she ended up setting up a gig at our hotel. So we would play, 3:30 to 5:30 or 3 to 5 every, once or twice a week, and just go back and forth. And it was a lot of fun. That was kind of one of my first experiences as far as gigging went.
In Nashville.
And, we ended up working together, and, it grew from there. And I'm very grateful that I was able to learn, and I'm still learning from her because she's so driven and motivated, and it's inspiring.
Absolutely. To have someone like that around you, I think is super important.
Yeah.
It's almost like in a way like mentory in like,
it keeps
even
you
if it's
going.
like, even if it's someone that's like
I can
similar,
do it too.
Yeah, similar in age to you as well.
Yeah.
Like I'm assuming because she seems like she's pretty young as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like to be passionate, driven, talented, and also like doing it. Like think that's like something for you to be like, dude.
Yeah, I think
possible.
You can tell when people are serious about it.
Yeah.
Rather than just lax,
Totally.
Because that's an important quality, I guess, to have.
Absolutely.
and to surround yourself with, because the people who you surround yourself with matter.
Exactly. And exactly kind of like what we're talking about with like when you surround yourself with traditional people here. It's like the same deal on the other hand, where it's just like if you surround yourself with people that are successul, driven, passionate, you're going to end up being successful, driven, passionate. It's just like, it's just no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to check these lights. All right, so I just changed the lights up a little bit. If you noticed that the lighting changed, we are at my parents' basement right now, and this overhead light was on, and I totally didn't notice until just now. But
Sweet.
This should look great, and we'll keep moving forward. So we're talking about gigging with Kalie Shorr, and building up that network. Really is kind of what you started building in Nashville.
Yeah.
So. I mean, it wasn't long until you started working with other songwriters.
Yeah.
You ended up getting connected with Brett Young.
Yeah.
So how did that connection happen?
So I had met one of my good friends, Jason Adamo.
Okay.
I honestly don't exactly remember how I met, but I can imagine it was through a writer's round or, you know,
In
your
the scene.
typical, yeah. And we were writing together, and then he invited me out. He said he had a gig at, it was either Winners or Losers in Midtown. And he said, come by, you know, maybe you can get up, play a song. And I thought, okay, because I was going out often during the week just to, you know, it was in that also party scene when I was, you know, turning 21 and wanted to be out and drinking. And I said, sure. So I showed up and he was up playing on stage. And then he asked me to get up. I got up, I played a couple songs, and then I got off. And I think he had invited Brett out. He and Brett knew each other somehow.
Okay.
And Brett got up and played a couple. And when he came down, I was like, your stuff's really good. He said, likewise, we should write together. And I said, absolutely.
Hell
So
yeah.
we exchanged numbers. And when we set up a date, he said, can Jason be in on it? I said, absolutely. I would love that.
Yeah.
So then and it ended up working out, and we ended up writing. And
So this was 2016?
I don't remember the year, honestly.
Yeah. It's a while ago. I mean,
it was, I want to say I was
17 maybe?
Gosh, I don't even know. No, I think I was 20. I was either 21 or 22.
Dang.
That's when we wrote it.
Yeah.
And I want to say I was 21.
Yeah. So maybe, early days.
Yeah.
15,
And
16.
he didn't end
maybe.
up cutting it for a couple years after that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, dang.
So it was just at the time, oh, this is an awesome song.
Right.
And
Because it
that's how
released in
most
2017,
songs
right?
start is, oh, this is an awesome song.
Yeah.
And then you never truly know the potential of it.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to write with people not based on their status.
Yeah.
Because you just never know who's going to blow up. You never
Exactly.
know where things are going to go.
Yeah.
So be open to opportunities.
Absolutely.
Wherever they are on your, you know, hierarchical spectrum,
Yeah.
basically.
For sure. And like, because at the time, Brett Young was, you know, relatively
He was unsigned.
unknown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unknown, rather. So he was like a independent artist, just
Yep.
like all of us. So it's
Mhm.
like, you could have been like, yeah, not worth my time. But
Yeah.
it's just like, you were like, no, you're a cool dude. You got good
Mhm.
music. He's like, you're a cool girl. You got good music.
Yeah.
Let's make a song together. It was
Exactly.
genuine. And that's the best that it happened
Mhm.
like that. And, you know, sometimes it takes time for things to marinate to
Yeah.
end up becoming, you know, because that didn't end up releasing until 2017. So whenever you
Right.
wrote it, it was like up until that time, it was never even released.
Yeah.
But in like, real quick to kind of backtrack a little bit, I guess,
Yeah.
when you first started playing like downtown Nashville,
Mhm.
that was in like 2016, I believe. That's like, how did that feel? Like, what was that feeling like when you were like, was that kind of like, dang, I'm doing it? You know, like you played like Broadway and downtown.
Well, so I guess I would consider it Broadway, but I never really played on the bars, on the Strip.
Okay.
So when I played downtown, I was playing the hotels.
Okay.
So I did 3 or 4 hour gigs at a hotel.
Dang.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, some people can play that long without music. And I was never that way. I needed a notebook in front of me. Some people put it on their phones, but I'm blind, so I couldn't do that. But yeah, I always had a music stand, and I had my own equipment that I would bring. So it was an experience. It was, I don't know if I'd call it fun. It was definitely work. It was fun sometimes when you would get positive reactions from people.
Yeah.
Really depends on your audience, I think. But I always liked being kind of the person in the corner of the room that was just playing.
Yo, but you're like, I'm
nobody.
here though.
But yeah, I mean, it definitely felt like I was doing something.
Yeah.
Not just aimlessly wandering around questioning my existence. So I'd say it was a step in the right direction.
Absolutely it was. No, it's like, even if you didn't feel like, like I haven't made it yet, I'm not on the Strip playing in the bars. It's just like, you're out there in downtown playing shows and getting paid.
Well, and I don't
That's
necessarily think you have to perform on the Strip in order to be taken seriously. That's kind of its own thing too. Like that's there's a circle of people who do that. And it's awesome. It's cool. You get exposure. But I don't think it's necessary in order to be successful as an artist. Even.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, and I mean, I feel like Nashville is so big too. It's just like there's probably like a lot of places where you find talent all over the place in that city. It's
everywhere.
Yeah.
But people don't always like, I know some people who play downtown, but you know, a lot of places that do writers rounds are great ways to get out there and play.
Yeah, and find
I would say that's
good talent.
The most important, honestly.
Yeah.
Is being able to showcase your original music, because a lot of stuff downtown is covers.
Yeah.
You never really get to play your own. You can probably sprinkle them in because you are an artist, and a lot of people are pursuing an artist career. But any kind of venue and place that allows you to play what you've written is really important.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, that's a great point that I didn't think of, like the covers versus like original songs.
Oh yeah.
Like doing 3 hours of covers is not the same 3 hours worth of originals.
And like I said, you can sprinkle them in, but it doesn't have the same effect.
Absolutely.
It's not like people are going to listen to you play your own stuff. They want to hear what they know.
Exactly. They want to sing along and be like, oh, I love this song. She sang that song so well or whatever. And a lot of the bars, they don't even let you. And it's like, I know in Phoenix, there's some people that I know that are like full-time giggers, and they'll like you said, they sprinkle them in without even like saying anything.
Yeah.
So then they just,
people won't necessarily, they'll just be like, oh, I don't know the song.
Exactly. But that's exactly what he said. Yeah.
It's a different vibe to have people intentionally come out to listen to your own stuff.
Yeah.
It's a different feeling.
For sure. Yeah. And to get that validation, it's like, dang, I wrote this and people love it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
cool.
A great way to test your own skills too.
Yeah, it's like a litmus test.
Yeah. Yep.
How hot is this? Opening up for Rodney Atkins and Gavin DeGraw. Those are big names.
Yeah.
So like those are big shows.
Yeah.
So what was that going from like playing, bars and like small cap rooms to then, playing
It was scary. It was scary.
Yeah.
It was huge too, because opening for Rodney Atkins, I hired a band because I didn't want to be up there all by myself.
I love it.
So that was my first experience playing with other people behind me, really knowing my stuff. It was fun. I was scared. I was terrified, but seeing like so many people out there, it was life-changing experience.
Yeah.
And I met one of my favorite co-writers. He played for Rodney Atkins. His name's Clint Wells. We ended up working together for years and years. And I love working with him.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad I said yes to that, because again, if I hadn't, I don't even know. I don't even know where I would be. It's just one of those things that changes your life in ways that you don't expect it to. Who else? Oh, Gavin DeGraw. That was a lot of fun. That one was more fun because obviously it was later, but Jason Adamo was the artist who was opening, and I was background vocals.
Nice.
So he had me come. I believe it was in Raleigh, and sing background vocals for him. So that was more my scene because I got to be in the back, kind of. Yeah, I was like, oh, this is great. I can just sway in the background. Oh my God, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Why are they calling?
You can answer it real quick if you need to. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
Hey, Martians, real quick. I appreciate you taking the time to listen or watch wherever you are in the world. Over the last few months, the Martian family has grown so much. I could not be more thankful for all of my guests and every single one of you who continue to tune in every single week. Subscribers, ratings, likes, and comments all help us grow here on Mars. And it would mean the world. If you haven't already, please go to onmarspod.com/subscribe to subscribe on YouTube. Like and leave a comment, rate us on Spotify. All this good stuff helps keep the engine running to inspire Martians all over the world. P.S. Follow us on Instagram @onmarspod. Okay, let's get back to it.
You can put an ad there. now for your
And back from our sponsors. All right.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, that's what Rick Glassman does.
You watch Rick Glassman?
Sometimes my husband loves him.
Dude.
We listen to all sorts of comedians.
Yes. That's like my guy. Take your shoes off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
dude.
hilarious. I
Hell
love
yeah.
what he and Esther have going on. They're so
Yeah, they
funny.
actually stopped at Have a Time
Oh.
for a while.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I think it's just because, like, it's funny because, like, you could tell, like, Esther has her own thing going
She
on.
does,
You know what I mean? And he was
But
carrying
I love
it.
their
He was
dynamic. I
carrying
love it.
For sure.
Yeah, he's just brilliant.
Yeah,
He's smart.
for sure. I think he's super underrated too.
He's very
That's crazy
underrated.
That you,
Yeah.
That you know Rick Glassman. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that-
Well, how can you not remember that?
Yeah, for sure. That's
He's
his
funny.
whole thing. No,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Yeah.
So I listen to a lot of podcasts, but that's why I wanted to be on one. I was like, oh, I want to be on a podcast.
Yeah.
But
No, this it's great. No, it's
thanks for having me.
of course. No, it's a great conversation, and so I'm
Sweet.
stoked. It's the special edition, GR edition.
Yes, right? The
Yes.
OG Grandville.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I actually live where my parents live, like 7 minutes from here.
No,
But of
shit.
course, I took a wrong turn and ended up having to somehow.
GPS. it.
Yeah, no.
7 minutes
It's
away.
sad, but
Hey, it's all good.
it's funny because everybody lives within a certain radius and
Yeah.
it's not very far.
That's so true. And it's like, I forget that living in like a big city like Phoenix, where it's just like, there's so many pockets of that
Yeah.
city where it's just like, you could be driving like 40 minutes in one direction and like not get to your homie's house.
Yeah.
It's like-
It's crazy.
yeah. for
Whereas
sure.
everything's 5-10 minutes here.
From here, yeah, exactly. And it's just
Like,
like, if
oh,
you live in
okay.
Granville, you live in like this small,
It's very
like,
small
radius.
pocket. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, everyone rides the same buses and shit.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
So we're talking about the Gavin DeGraw, and we're talking about Rodney Atkins and those
Mhm.
types of shows.
Mhm.
So yeah, I guess the last thing we were talking about was how in the Gavin DeGraw show you were able to kind of take a little bit of like a backseat in a
yeah.
way, and that was like kind of where you thrived because you were able to
Yeah.
kind of have a little bit more fun because the nerves weren't as high.
I wasn't the focal point, which
Yeah.
I love.
Cool, that's awesome.
But I still get to feel the rush,
Absolutely.
the adrenaline of being on stage and performing and having people be excited to
Yeah,
listen.
for sure.
So
That was a dope venue too. Like
it was cool
that was a big one.
outside,
Yeah.
a big stage. Gavin DeGraw is obviously huge.
yeah.
So yeah, really, really cool.
I love that. No, that's I feel like that's one of those moments where you're like, I made it.
It was
Mama, I
definitely,
made
it's
it.
a humbling experience. We had our own little trailer.
Oh,
It was
man.
fun. It's
That's
that
so
rock star life.
sweet. Yes.
Like, oh, I'm not there, but I'm going to pretend I am.
Hell
'cause-
yeah. Hey, fake it till you make it, as
yeah.
they say.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yo, so then I do kind of want to go back to Brett Young.
Okay.
Because at that point, like I want to talk about like, cause that song, it's Beautiful Believer. That's the name of the song.
Mhm.
So that was the song that ended up being on his EP, which then ended up being on the album that was
Yes.
produced by, what's his name? Dan Huff.
Oh, yeah.
Legendary country producer that I
Yeah.
didn't know his name until I was like looking into it. And he worked with like a bunch of country pop artists.
There's some big producers that I've worked with. I mean, everyone under the sun.
That's
so,
insane.
yeah.
Yeah. So that album 1 year later went platinum.
Was it 1 year? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Insane.
He originally released an independent EP that he put it on. So that was before he signed. And then he signed to Big Machine after that, and they re-released the EP. And then he released the full album.
And that's the one that went platinum. The album itself, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe so. And he had a few number ones off of that, his
Yeah.
singles. But yeah, it went platinum in obviously the US, and then it went platinum in Canada. So yeah, gold and platinum. It's awesome. I never would have imagined having any kind of plaque on my wall ever.
Shoot. I mean, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, you probably like, you know, in like a fantasy saw it. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like,
You know,
don't, you're like,
I just never,
You
I don't
didn't-
even think I knew what it was. Like, obviously, people have records hanging on their wall, but I never
Yeah.
really truly understood the significance
yeah,
and how it would feel to have one.
yeah.
It just didn't feel real. When
Yeah.
when I had the first one shipped and, I opened it up, it didn't feel like it was mine.
And that was the gold record.
That was the gold one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Damn.
So
That's insane.
it's
I mean,
I remember picking out, because we got to pick out like the style.
oh,
And
the
I
frame.
want velvet background, and I want it to look like this in the frame. And it's crazy because it's just the last thing you would think about doing.
I love that so much. I
Yeah.
feel like that experience was probably so cool. Like,
Well, and it was cool to have someone to share it with too.
yeah.
I remember Jason and I went back and forth a lot with, like, initially when it was all being released and hyped up and all of that. So we connected and bonded over that a lot, even though he ended up moving back to Raleigh.
Okay.
So we don't see each other as much, but it was really cool. I still was very green, very naive. I didn't know anything, really. I didn't know what I was doing. It was just all very exciting
Yeah.
at the time. And I mean, it still is. It's looking back, I didn't really know how to handle it.
Yeah. I mean, it probably put like a different confidence in you though. Like, hey, I'm a platinum songwriter.
And there's a fine line between confident and arrogant. I think you do have to watch yourself.
Yeah.
And my problem was some meetings I went in with too much confidence, and that hurt me. But other times I went in with 100% self-doubt. I was like, I don't know if they're gonna think I'm good enough. What if they think I didn't write part of the, any of the song, like blah blah blah. And it's good to be somewhere in the middle where you understand your place, like where you are, what level you're on.
Yeah.
But also be confident enough to know that you can be better, like, and that you're always growing.
Yeah.
And your potential. Because people want to know what you want. They want to know your goals. And that is so important to have. You need to have a goal.
Yeah.
And at the time I didn't know what I was doing. And you have to know what you're doing. I know when you start out, you mostly don't. You're still trying to figure it out.
Exactly.
But I think getting that kind of success at such an early age and still being new to town, I just didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
And so I think people, when it first came out, were treating me different.
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of people reaching out and being like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Congratulations. Let's work together. Like, it was a lot easier to work with people.
Yeah.
Because I had that established, place.
Exactly.
I had that under my belt, which is where I was at the time. The people I was working with, we just weren't in that spot. Like, I wasn't on that level yet. A lot of people, even signed writers, don't have gold and platinum plaques hanging on their wall.
For sure.
And so it was weird.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's almost like having the mindset that you have is like, it makes for like a better, like when you meet, like when someone meets you and they like she has a platinum record, gold record, but she's like not an asshole. Like that,
well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
that's the best.
And I think there are a lot of people out there who are very humble, and you would never know.
Exactly.
And that's definitely what I want to be. I never want
100%.
people to feel intimidated,
right?
And like they don't belong. And I think a part of me, this is going to sound horrible, but a part of me sometimes wishes that I didn't have it, because people, it's an expectation thing. Because when you do have some sort of, if you get a number one, or you have these records hanging on your wall, there's an expectation.
Yeah. There's
pressure. And it's like, oh, well, if I have a bad write with somebody, who's to say that they're not like, oh, that girl sucks. Right. It's hard. And again, I'm very grateful. It's incredible to have, but it's been a lot of pressure. Yeah. It's been a lot to try to live up to.
Absolutely.
So.
And that's a very interesting point too, about like being on the other side of, like, because from someone's point of view that doesn't have a platinum record, it's very easy to see your platinum record and be like, oh my God, congratulations, that's so amazing. Like, and them almost be like, oh man, that would be so amazing to be in that. You know what I'm saying? But then they don't know what it feels like to actually be in that and like have that pressure.
Well, and I'll put it this way. I've kind of bounced around as far as my goals, and they're always evolving and changing. And something that I've always wanted to have is a placement, like a song in a TV show or a commercial or something. And I have a friend who has a lot of placements, you know, with Netflix and all sorts of shows, and she just doesn't see it for what it is, because she has always wanted to sing or to have audiences sing songs back to her, you know, on stage. She wants to hear that.
To be an artist, yeah.
Well, to have songs with big artists who are out there singing them and have, you know, that kind of recognition. And I think it's hard because I've had that with Brett. He, you know, when he used to play it out, people would sing the words back. Yeah. And his fan base at one time called themselves the Beautiful Believers. And at the time, it didn't really register. Like, it just felt like, this is cool. This is really cool. But it is interesting how when you have something, it feels different than what you think.
Absolutely.
So, and what I, you know, see with somebody else, I'm like, oh, she has all these cuts. Like, I want that. I want all of that recognition, and to be able to say, oh, I have, you know, songs on this show. Yeah. Because it's, you know, it does feed your ego a little bit, but it helps kind of set yourself up as more of a professional, and to have that under your belt. But again, it varies. Everybody reacts differently to what they have. It's almost like a numbing experience, because you're finding success somewhere where you want, and when you want it somewhere else, or there's always more. You always want more. Yeah. So even when you do get something, it's like, well, I want, what's next? Yeah. I want this. Yeah. So it's funny.
It's very, very funny. It's almost like the grass is green on the other side, but is it like that type of deal? And it's just like, once you do get those Netflix placements, then what? You know, like, then what are you going to,
I think, and a lot of people feel that pressure. Yeah. You know, people who get number ones, I think it's a constant fear of what's next. Yeah. How are you going to live up to it? Yeah. And that's, you know, that's hard. It's difficult.
Absolutely. Especially when it happens very quickly. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, I'm sure that's, you know, it's something like that with you, because it happened relatively quickly for you. Yeah. It was just kind of like, oh shit. Like, now I guess I'm a platinum songwriter
like,
now.
I'm established, but like what
am I
doing?
Like, I don't feel established, but like this plaque says my name.
And it's weird. I struggle a lot with self-promotion. Yeah. And so that was kind of, it was hard because I never wanted to talk about it. Yeah. Like, I still struggle. I still don't want, you know, people to judge me based on that, you know? Yeah. But it's still really cool. Absolutely. And I'm grateful.
No, and it's
I can't say that enough. As much as I downplay everything, it's still, I'm very, very grateful.
And I think the only reason why you're downplaying it is just because of your character. Like, you don't want like people to see this and be like, oh, like, she thinks she's hot shit because of these platinum records. And you're like, hey, I would still be the same person if I didn't have these platinum records. Like, don't look at me different because I have the platinum records as a person.
Think it's important to be honest about things, because I could sit up here and be like, yeah, this is so cool. Like, I'm so glad. And it makes me this and that. But no, I was not ready for it.
Absolutely.
When it happened.
I mean, but it's still cool that it basically gave you that validation from the industry. And I think that's the biggest deal.
Well, and like, I think honestly, the biggest takeaway I you know, from it all is that you can do it yourself. Yeah. At the time, I thought I needed to be signed. I needed a record label. I needed a publisher in order to find any success. And it's not true. I mean, you can find success without that. Yeah. Especially with all the tools we have nowadays, you know, with Instagram, TikTok, all the different platforms, you can do it yourself.
Yeah. It's like, and that's like just on promotional
marketing. Motivate yourself.
For sure. For sure. And it's like another thing with like the DIY, it's just like you guys, like you and Jason wrote that song and like you guys weren't platinum artists when you wrote it.
Yeah. So we were actually, I think if I'm getting this correctly, I think we were the only unsigned artists or writers on his entire record. Yeah. Ooh, which is crazy because I mean, it's nice because we were collecting 100% of our share. Ooh. But it's it's wild because you feel out of place.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, where do I fit in this picture?
100%. And I mean, that alone shows like how much, even when Brett was signed and, he has the publishers, he has the label, he still wanted to make sure that like your guys' song was on there. And like, he loved that song so much.
I'm just glad he liked it enough,
Absolutely.
Because that's hard. It's hard because think about how many songs people are writing.
Yeah.
And it's always the goal to have someone release the song you wrote with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy because again, he's writing with all these big people.
Yeah.
And he chose to put that one out there still.
For sure. Cool. For sure. I mean, and I think it's probably like not only he loved the song, but like he knew that the song was impactful because of like the reactions from other people.
Yeah.
And it's like, I remember, well, I don't remember. I saw a video earlier when I was doing research and of you guys playing the song at like some listening room or something like that.
Yeah. Was that recent or was it a long time ago?
It was a long time ago. It
old
was like
video.
old
I think
video.
I had my straight hair.
It was like kind of a low quality video.
Yeah, it was probably Brett and I. We were singing at Belcourt Taps was the venue. I remember it.
She don't know how much I need her. A beautiful believer.
It was very like
was Jason
low-key.
Recording the video?
He might have been.
Because I think in
the
caption, I'm pretty sure.
So,
I think it was Jason.
Yeah, because I just went up to sing harmonies on it.
Exactly.
So, which again is my favorite thing.
Yes, you were killing it. Yeah, it's funny because like, I
cool
watched you watching him.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, this is amazing to see this.
Yeah, it was cool. Because at the time it was just like, oh, this is a cool song. I'd love to sing with you, sing it out. It's just casual.
Yeah.
Until it's not.
For sure. No, but it's cool to see like that video and like to know what ended up becoming of that song.
Yeah.
Like to then see back when it was
nothing.
Just for love.
Yeah.
And it was just like for the love in the small venues and like, like what was there, like 50 people in there, like 100 people? Like,
I don't know.
Like, but it's
probably,
not thousands,
no.
Not millions.
Most people have a very humble start.
Yeah.
Very humble beginning.
Absolutely.
So it's just it's the work you put in and how much you believe in what you're creating.
Yeah.
And yourself.
Yeah.
And that's how you take things to the next level. But most things, are written and people love it enough it sticks with them and they end up taking it with them. That's the funny thing is it could be 10 years later after you've written a song and somebody releases it and it goes great, does really well. So it's again, just not, you can't, like the best things happen when you least expect it.
Yeah. And that's what it is. Yeah.
I mean, I would say like one thing that I've learned, and I don't know that everyone will agree with me on this, but I think it's important to lower your expectations. It's important because, again, the best things happen when you least expect it. A lot of like the biggest moments in my career in Nashville happened at times where I was not in a good place. I didn't believe in myself at the time, And it's not to say that you shouldn't believe in yourself or, you're not going to make it. Of course, you want to have your goal and you want to achieve it and you want to work towards it. But, going in expecting a lot is going to end up leading to disappointment.
Yeah. A lot of the times at least.
Yeah. And so I think there's a healthy balance with expectations, but it's important to remember that it's not always going to go to plan.
Yeah.
It's hard. Most people can't plan out their success. It happens in ways that you don't necessarily plan for.
For sure. And generally when that happens, it's like the timing of it was supposed to happen when it happens.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing too, kind of going back to what we were saying, like you just got to keep going even when it gets tough, like to quit 2, 3, 5 years into the game is only like shooting yourself in the foot because you don't even know what you would have wrote on that 6th year.
It's true. Yeah. There's been many, many times in my life where I thought I should just give up.
Yeah.
I should quit. And then something amazing happened.
Wow.
So
yeah,
just never know.
And it's like, and it's
sure everybody says that too. It's so cliche, but it's true.
It's very true.
Yeah.
And it's like when you're doing it like genuinely with passion and you have such like a burning desire to be an artist or be who whoever you see, like envision yourself as, it's like, if you have that vision, you just keep working towards it and just don't give up on it. And like, eventually it's gonna
lead
happen.
somewhere.
It's even if you don't like know exactly what path you're gonna take, like you just, you end up finding your way.
It's true. And that's where, you know, I feel like my career has evolved in so many ways. When I first moved to Nashville, I thought I was going to be an artist.
Right.
I thought I'm going to, you know, hit it big as an artist and be on stages and doing, you know, all those things. And then I got the cut with Brett Young. And I was like, oh, you know, maybe I should do songwriting. Like maybe I should lean into just being a songwriter. So that changed my path right there. So I started just focusing on writing and writing for other people.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, maybe I'll excel in that since I already got something. And then it evolved from there into wanting to learn how to produce. And it's funny because it's a wave.
Yeah.
And again, things happen that I just never planned for.
Absolutely. And that's I'm glad that you brought that up, because that was something that I wanted to talk about, like that internal debate between, am I an artist or am I a songwriter?
Yeah.
Especially like being in a city like Nashville where there's so many people trying to be an artist.
Yeah.
And people go there to make it. Same way people go to LA to make it in like the entertainment industry. So in the country music scene, that's where people go. That's like the hub for country music.
Yes.
So in your mind, was it ever like I don't want to give this up, this dream of being an artist, I don't want to give this up? And it's funny because I guess now that I'm speaking it out loud, like I feel like you're naturally gonna like say like, I didn't want to be an artist because I like being in the back. So it wasn't that hard.
It's funny because it wasn't. But at the same time, I've always had this feeling in the back of my mind that I'm not closing the door on that chapter 100%. It's not closed. It's cracked, but it's not closed. And because I love to sing. And honestly, anything that allows me to do that, I'm happy with. But I will say I struggle so much with social media and putting myself out there. And honestly, it's worked so much against me because I see everyone posting all the time and putting themselves out there and opening themselves, being vulnerable, opening themselves to criticism. And I am such a people pleaser that has been crippling for me. Mm-hmm. It's not that I'm not confident in my work and that I'm not working, because that's another thing is people don't see you all the time and they're like, what is she doing? Did she fall off the face of the earth?
Exactly.
And I think it's important to put yourself out there so people hear what you're working on and you can connect with other people. But being in the public eye and putting myself out there on video, it's always been difficult for me. Self-promotion has never been my strong suit. Yeah. So, but that said, I do want to put myself out there. I've always been planning, and this is where my resistance comes in because I'm always making excuses. But I do want to start putting myself out there and, showing that I'm still working and that I'm able to promote myself. Yeah. And that's the thing too, is it's hard to be a songwriter because unless you're already established, you have to put yourself out there. People don't know who you are, what you're doing. So it's tough. It's, you have to find the balance. And so, yeah, it was hard for me, but again, I'm terrified of people.
Yeah. But it's like
I love people, but I hate them at the same time because I'm like, please don't be mean to me.
When the attention is all on you,
yeah.
it's like that fear of like
not being accepted, somebody being like, you don't sound like, that's shitty.
Yeah.
Pardon my English, but yeah.
It's funny because it's like, you're so talented. And
Thank
like
you.
always, like I feel like I've always looked up to you, and like I always because like you were always doing it. You know what I'm saying? I just
never think about that. I'm like, nobody looks up to me.
But and I think that's man. Like it says so much about like who you are as a person, where it's just like you kind of like downplay yourself a little bit,
all
and
the
like
time.
You humble yourself a lot, and it's just like everybody that sees you and hears you, I'm sure, like immediately loves the energy and the sound, and it's like your tone,
I hope so.
your pitch, like everything, and it's just like it's funny because like the best people always are like the worst critics of themselves. Like the
It's
people that are the most
true.
talented are the like worst critics of
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah, even the most brilliant people struggle the most.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like they don't see what everyone else sees.
Yes.
And that's like the hardest thing, that you can never be outside of your own body and your own brain. So it's
Yeah.
just like you'll never see yourself like everyone else does.
Yeah.
So I think bridging that gap is like part of becoming an artist 100%.
Yeah.
And like being the front man, I guess, you know what I'm saying, front woman. It's like that type of energy is a different ball game altogether. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like being a songwriter is its own game, being an artist is its own game. But I think it's important that you said, you know, the door is just cracked,
Mhm.
because that's something that I do feel like once that, you know, that flip switches for you, where you're
Mhm.
like, you know what, I am Annie Wildgen. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that.
I am whatever I am.
Yeah. And it's
That's
just
the
like,
thing, is you can grow in your musical journey. It's okay. You don't have to close the door on anything.
exactly.
And you know, keep going, and however it manifests is how it manifests.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's just, so you have creative control to do anything.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
limit yourself. You're the only one who limits yourself.
For sure. Especially in like creative endeavors.
Yeah.
Where it's just like you only like create what you create. So
Yeah.
it's just like if you're not creating, then you're never gonna like
Yeah.
get better. You're never gonna like make something that you never would have thought you could make. You
Yeah.
know, it's like a lot of these songs come out of like just living, and then like something happens and it's like inspiring from
Yeah.
that. Like a Beautiful Believer.
Mhm.
That was taken from a story of somebody else.
Another songwriter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like from him and like his wife or something like
Yeah.
that, wasn't it?
Yeah, his wife, he called her his beautiful believer.
Exactly.
At his first #1 party, I'm pretty sure.
Damn.
Yeah. I think Brett or Jason or both of them were there, and they were inspired by his story. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
It could happen at any time. And it's just like
Yep.
just living life and like being in that mode of like creating,
mhm.
like you're ready for when that inspiration hits, you can go into the studio and write a hit. And it's like,
Yep.
had they not been actively writing, actively seeking inspiration in a way, even if they're just living life and like just taking things in like without consciously thinking about it, you know what I'm saying? It's like if they weren't in that world or in that mindset, they would have like, it would have maybe impacted them at the time, like, oh, that was such a beautiful thing, but they wouldn't have like, we should write a song about it. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's like, because they were like, they're like, let's just create. And it was like, they were doing it for the love, you know, they're like, that really touched me. So let's
Mhm.
maybe try to put this into a song. And like, that's, I feel like the best way, like when songs happen like that, where they're like, they write themselves in a way. They
Yeah.
like the words and the music just like spills onto the page. I feel like
Yeah.
that's the best way.
It is. And I think everyone gets creative inspiration in different places at different times randomly, you know? It's not necessarily right when something happens. I get a lot of inspiration at like 2 a.m. I'll be up late and I'll be, oh, this is an idea. I have to write it down. But it's not necessarily something that you realize right away.
Yeah.
It can come up whenever. And I say, you know, something like that because it's so much easier to write from a negative experience than when you're happy. I just find happy songs a lot harder to write. So pulling inspiration from trauma and from, you know, past relationships and past experiences, it's I find a lot easier just because it had such an impact on you.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is you find inspiration in so many different things.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. And I think that's I mean, something that a lot of songwriters and musicians altogether can relate to, whereas like you know, breakups, something
therapy.
happens. Yeah, it's 100%.
You're your own therapist.
for sure. And then it's sometimes like the song is healing in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
I've written songs about past relationships, and you know, and they're some of my favorite songs I've ever written. So it
Yeah.
almost turns that like negative experience into a positive experience.
It does. It's a release.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you know, people will hear it and be like, oh, well, this person's still, you know, in a bad place. And that's not true.
Yeah.
It's you were writing about your experience and your feelings, and you're in a better place.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah.
usually.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, that's
But,
the thing is you can't always take a song at its word.
Yeah.
A lot of times it has a deeper meaning.
For sure.
And you're in a different place.
Yeah.
Usually. So
The song is showing the growth.
it's reflective.
It's reflective, exactly. Where it's just like it's reflective on certain things that happen in your life, certain moments that you grew from, that you learned from, that impacted you in a certain way,
Yeah.
Negative or positive, whatever that is. But at the end of the day, if you're writing a song about it, that's a positive experience. It's like when you can write a song that you feel good about, and like it happens like good, like it's not forced organically. It's not forced. It's like I feel like those end up being the greatest songs.
It's the best, yeah. And now that's not to say that you shouldn't put in the work every day or
That's true.
often. I mean, I know there's been times where I've had writer's block and I just haven't, I went a long time without doing anything musical because I just didn't feel like I had it in me, that anything good would come from it. But, the more you do something, the better you become.
100%.
And it's important to cultivate your skills, and that is, the way that you grow and the way that you put your energy into it. Because if you're taking breaks, it's easy to get lost. It's easy to get sidetracked.
Yeah.
And it's important to show up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Not just wait for the times that the inspiration hits.
Because sometimes it can stem from that. Like, it can be a stepping stone.
Yeah.
You could write something and be, oh, well, this reminds me of this, or I'm getting,
Exactly.
It can piggyback off of it.
Absolutely. You almost have to treat it like a job in a way, where it's just
it is.
It's something that like you're working for, and it's not a hobby. It's not a hobby.
Well, and I think
you know what I mean?
What distinguishes a professional from, an
Hobbyist.
amateur or a hobbyist is that willingness to put in the work and to realize that you're not always going to be happy doing it. It's hard, but it's so fulfilling. It's when you get to that point, it's that release of your creativity that fulfills you.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, if you don't cultivate that skill or put your energy into it, then you're not putting your energy into, you're not meant to do it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's in you, it's within you.
Yeah.
And you need to, you'll feel the necessity basically to do it.
Yeah. It's like when you're not doing it, you almost feel like you should be.
You're usually unhappy. If you're doing something else, you're usually unhappy.
Yeah.
And the that's how I feel. I feel when I'm doing something else, it's not to say that you can't work to pay your bills, but you'll always have that inside of you that's like, hey, you should be doing music. Hey, you should be creating. That's what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Even if at the time it doesn't feel that way, because you're like, what am I doing? I'm not getting anywhere. But it's a long-term thing.
Yeah.
It's not instant gratification.
For sure. It's like you might be spinning the wheels, but that this is an investment.
It is
in what I'm going to be, who I'm going to be, what I'm going to become in a way.
It's important, and it's hard when you don't have something constantly rewarding you every time.
For sure. Yeah,
and to accept.
Not only that, but it's just like when you don't see that growth quickly.
Yeah.
When you don't see it happen within a few years, they say it takes 10 years to become an overnight success, basically, because it's 10,000 hours. They say in Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, that's a great book if you've never heard of it.
Yeah.
I've talked about it on a couple different episodes because that one was super impactful to me, because that breaks down the 10,000 hour rule. And it talks about how the Beatles, for instance, before they were in America, before that whole craze in London, they were doing strip clubs. They're playing 5 to 7 days a week.
Wow.
Playing strip clubs every night. And that was how they locked in as a group. Because had they not been playing 5-7 days a week, they would not have become the Beatles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because by the time they blew up, they had been doing that for 6 years, playing together as a group and playing well together as a group. So it's almost like that time that America didn't see or know about, because we didn't know that they existed until you know, that whole Beatles craze or whatever
Yeah.
when they came to America. It's like that's the shit you don't see. And it's like that's the kind of the work that deep work that we're talking about, where it's like you have to stay in the lab. You know what I mean? You got to stay working.
You don't see it right away.
Yeah.
And it's hard to see.
For
and
sure.
that's what's discouraging.
Exactly.
That's why people quit.
For sure.
It's hard.
100%.
It's so hard.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's so worth it.
It
and
is,
it's like
yeah.
it's like the most like rewarding like investment, I guess.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
in yourself, you know.
It is. Yeah. And I think there's no greater feeling than creating something at the end of the day and being proud of it.
For sure.
Like that is what keeps me going. I would feel, I just know when I'm doing something else, I'm not, I don't feel that fulfillment.
Exactly.
So that's the only thing, that's how you know you're meant to do it.
Exactly. That's how you know.
Yeah.
It's like if you feel that feeling inside you, like chase it. And like that's the pilot flame. Like that we talk about. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's just like I feel like that's something that you did a very good job of never letting that pilot flame die. And that's part of the reason why I'm inspired by you, because it's like people around who we grew up with, they let that pilot flame die. And it's like I know people that could have been very successful in creative industries.
Yeah.
And they didn't want that life. And by all means, cool, sweet.
Yeah.
But they kind of like almost like they saw like this talent that they had almost as like whatever.
Unachievable.
Yeah, like unachievable, but then also at the same time, they like didn't see their own potential.
Yeah.
So it's like they wrote themselves off because like, well, I'm never going to be the Beatles, so I might as well just quit now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like, but you don't understand, like, you're so much better than everyone around us. So like, don't you see that too? It's like, so why don't you keep going?
Because you are your own worst critic.
Yeah.
And you don't always see, the potential. And
that's it.
It's the work that distinguishes you between other people and yourself. Is you have to cultivate yourself. You need to be able to grow and put in the work. It's hard, but it's rewarding. And it's sad because there are a lot of people out there who give up and they're so talented, and it's sad to see, but you either do it or you don't.
For sure. That's really it. And it's like you're the one to make, like you master of your own fate.
Yes, exactly. I strongly believe in that.
Yeah.
Strongly believe that you create your own destiny.
Absolutely. This is so great. I'm like fired up right now.
Let's get in the studio.
Yeah, really though. Jesus. Got my whole setup. God damn. Okay.
I love that you're wearing a Michigan Rocks shirt. That's amazing. I should have worn a Michigan t-shirt. Dang.
Yes. I got this at a thrift store.
Awesome.
In Arizona.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, give me that.
Oh my gosh. How's Arizona? I know that we're it's an interview, but how's Arizona?
It's amazing. I mean, yeah, I love it.
I only visited once, but it was really hot.
I remember you went you were in Avondale, weren't you?
Yeah, my sister lived there for a couple years.
Nice.
So we went to Avondale, Scottsdale, Flagstaff. Nice. And it was snowing in Flagstaff. It was so pretty. But
when did you go?
Couldn't tell you. I have my memory is like I have dementia or something.
It was hot as fuck though.
In it was like 100 and some degrees.
Yeah, it was probably like summer. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a few years ago, 4 years ago maybe.
Damn. I remember when you came out there because I saw you in Arizona. I was like, dude, what? I'm pretty sure I reached out to you.
Did you? Did I not respond?
I'm pretty sure we did.
Okay. Wow. Maybe I'm an asshole.
Dementia kicking in. No.
Yeah. For real.
No, but no, Arizona's amazing. I live in Scottsdale now.
Okay.
So yeah, I love it.
Fun.
But no, it's something that like the same way like how you say like Nashville has a different energy.
Yeah.
Phoenix has a different energy. And it's just like they move a lot different. There's a lot more people out there trying to create, trying to build, trying to be somebody in a way, even though like it's not LA, but it's just like it's on its way to becoming like a big city. And it's already big, like as far as like population, but like it's starting to become like an entertainment hub in a way.
Yeah.
like movie studios are actually like building studios there now.
Okay.
And like incentives to like they're creating like tax incentives for like big studios. If they film in their location, they get like tax breaks and stuff like that. So it's like more of like the California industry is slowly, ever since COVID especially,
inching their
way over the border to Arizona. And it's like kind of like a gift and a curse, because it was like because I moved out 2014, so it's almost 10 years now.
Okay, yeah.
But like when I first moved out compared to like what it is now, it's like the influx of all these people coming in with California money and like spending it in Arizona, which is kind of like Grand Rapids kind of cost of living to a certain degree, depending on where you go in the valley, of course. But it's just like, it kind of like not only like made the population go up, but it's just like prices went up and like everything, like the cost of everything just like went up, like especially housing and stuff like that. So
same with Nashville.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never going to buy a house here.
Yeah, right.
And that's what I love too about being in Nashville though, is most people are in the same boat as me. Like, whereas, you know, you come up to Michigan and it's a little more affordable and you could see the potential of buying a house, but living in, you know, it's not even like a big city, but there's a lot of people there, and there's a lot of people who transplants, who move with money, and they're building all these high rises, and the houses are going up. It's tough.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, even if it's not like a big city, it's a hub city.
It is.
That's like the best word for it. It's like a hub city.
Yeah.
It's very known in the United States. Nashville, Phoenix, they're not like LA, New York, but they're big. They're bigger than Grand Rapids.
Their prices make it bigger too. I'm like, come on. Come on now. You have creative people here. We can't afford that.
Yeah, right. People that have the most creative people are like the most expensive.
It's so sad.
Like, fuck.
It's like, come on.
No, but I love it. No, I can see myself living there and having a house here as well. Like kind of doing like a dual citizen.
Yeah.
Like
I think everyone who grew up in Michigan wants that, because Michigan's so great.
Yeah, for sure.
I love Michigan.
I love it in the summer months and fall and spring.
But I love the snow. I want like a month of snow. We don't really get it in Nashville.
Yeah.
You definitely don't.
We definitely don't.
But gosh, I just love a white Christmas.
Do you like cold?
No.
Okay. See, that's where I'm at. I love snow. Hate
but I
cold.
don't like heat. Like, I like a good fall temperature. I want that.
Yeah, like where we're at, like right now in like temperature for like where we're at, like in Michigan, like this is great. This is like,
perfect.
Yeah, like 75,
like a light jacket,
little breeze,
or a little sweater.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, or 60s is great.
Yeah, because then we're like hoodies, like that sweater weather.
I love that.
Yeah, for sure. But I will say like something about like that bone chilling cold.
It's too much.
It hurts my
I
soul.
don't like it. It's great to sleep in because you get to bundle up.
Yeah.
But like getting out of the shower, or getting in your car, you know, it's freezing. You have to wait for it to warm up. It's horrible.
Yeah, for sure.
Just thinking about it, I'm like, ugh. It's Michigan, coming. It's coming.
Come on. It's coming. Yeah, right. I
know. Michigan it's been like cold months for a long time.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't warm up until what, June?
Yeah, literally though. And I've been hearing that like this winter is gonna just be brutal.
Great.
But I mean, hey, we don't have to deal with it. We can come back and visit.
Yeah, I'm coming back for Christmas.
Oh shit!
I want it to snow.
Yeah,
or at least I'm planning to.
White Christmas. Yeah,
that's has to be. It's so sad if I'm in Nashville and it's just gray and bare.
It's not the same.
It's not the same
for sure.
Snow is so pretty.
Yeah, and in AZ, I don't know if they do this out in Nashville, but they do like they'll like build like ice skating rinks in the city.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think they do.
Yeah. And then they basically have like you know, massive like chillers and like fucking they do like some like fake snow a bunch of places that are so it's funny how like out there like they have to like make like fake.
Yeah, I know. It's not like you can go skiing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, 20 minutes away.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, it is kind of sad.
Yeah. It's like they're trying to live this Christmas culture, but it's just like not the same. It's just like hot as fuck. They're like putting like lights up on like the palm trees. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. A palm tree with lights.
Yeah, exactly.
That's sad.
Like Christmas lights up a palm tree. It looks amazing. Don't get me wrong. It looks
Does it?
beautiful. Like, because what they do is like they have these streets that are lined with palm trees.
Oh yeah,
So then they
yeah,
just
that's
line
pretty. Yeah,
these streets,
that's
and then they
true.
like hang in between the trees.
Okay.
So
I do love good lights. Lighting is everything.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
100%. But no, I just couldn't live in the snow for now.
Fair.
At least for
Yeah,
now.
fair.
Maybe when I'm like older with a kid, you know,
Yeah.
family and all that
I
stuff.
want a house on the lake. I'm like,
Yeah.
let me get a house on Lake Michigan.
Yes.
But you know, I don't have $1 million, so maybe one day.
Yeah,
Maybe
one
one
day
day.
you'll definitely have $1 million. So I will I'll come visit your house from my house.
All right.
And,
I'll have a guest house. And
Perfect. Perfect.
that'll be my studio.
Hey, now we're talking. Do you want to I mean, obviously, like, you have like your own like bedroom studio type deal now.
Mhm.
Is that something that you've always like had, like because I know you just recently got into like producing.
Yeah. Well, so when I initially started learning, I never imagined, like, I just wanted to create demos. I just wanted to be able to write a song and then make it myself and not have to rely on working with other producers or writing with other producers where they could come up with the demo right there. Because I didn't like, I still don't like work tapes, like a iPhone recording of a guitar. Like I just don't, it doesn't satisfy me.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because back when I was like 16 or 17, my dad had, I don't know if this is the right one, maybe Audacity or something.
Oh yeah, that's the free program. Yeah.
Something very, low key that I had messed with originally. I remember recording my cello on it and piano, my weighted keyboard, and I just did like my own first little song, and I loved it. It was so much fun. But then I kind of lost. It's like I could never do that. I don't think I can be. And writing with producers, I thought, that's so hard. Look at all these things. Look at all these plugins. What is that? Like, what does it all mean?
Yeah.
And I still feel like an amateur sometimes. I still am like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what half this stuff means. And so, but I did. So I started setting up a studio in my bedroom back at my old apartment years, like maybe 2020. 2020? I think it was 2020.
COVID times.
Yeah. So that's when I started, because I remember I did my first like instrumental demo basically during 2020. And I've gradually built it up from there. I think I started with like 2 speakers, a mic, and this old school interface. I have no idea what it's called. That half of it didn't even work. So that was pretty much all I had.
Yeah.
When like maybe a little MIDI keyboard. But it's definitely grown from there, and I'm grateful. And now I have a separate room for the studio.
Very
and oh my God, so sorry. I'm turning this off.
It's okay.
Oh,
It's all good.
Man, how many interruptions can we get?
It's all good.
Yeah.
So you have like your own space, like a separate room, you were saying.
Yes. Yeah. And it's still not like your studio. Like it doesn't have all the foam on the walls and all of that. It's still very low key.
Yeah.
I do a lot of pop mostly with it. I'll do singer-songwriter stuff too, but it's just fun. It's fun to mess around with. I still mostly do it for fun. I've been lucky enough to make a couple demos that the artist I'm working for loved enough to want to release. And so it was kind of cool to be considered a producer on that. I was like, oh wow, this is a different feeling. It's different than just doing it for myself and doing it for fun.
Yeah.
But it's also stressful because I don't always know what I'm doing. And it's that comparison game where you do work with other producers, and it's that, am I good enough in their eyes? Like, do they think I suck? Like, is my session chaos compared to what they're used to seeing? But it's been fun. I've loved being able to do it.
Yeah. And I feel like that's like one of these things where it's like not the gear, but it's like how you use it.
Yeah.
Like one of those things where it's just like you can have a couple Yamaha HS5s with a shitty interface and a microphone and make hits.
Yeah.
Versus someone that like works in a $12,000 studio with a friggin' Pro Tools board. They don't know what they're doing with it, and they were gonna make a shitty record.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like, or if they're not good, you know what I mean? If they don't sound good. That too,
I think it's important, you know, to spend a lot of time learning what you're working with, but you can work with, you know, whatever. You don't have to have $1,000 microphone. Yeah. You don't have to have, you know, an Apollo Twin Duo interface to create something great.
Correct.
You can always build from it, of course. And, you know, obviously certain plugins are going to change the game as far as how it sounds. But, you know, I still use Logic stock stuff.
They're amazing.
You know? Yeah, there's so much you can do with it.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, you shouldn't limit yourself. You know, it's... You can do whatever.
Exactly. And that's it. And it's like, and that, I guess that's the point where it's just like, you can have the most minimal setup. And if like you really have a passion to like make something great, you're going to make something great with it. And it's just like the same way that like there's like bedroom producers on headphones making like massive hits, like beats for artists.
Yeah.
And then like they end up blowing up off of a friggin' laptop, you know, and some headphones. And it's like, and then people see that and like try to like almost downplay it, but it's just like dude, like that just shows like you weren't able to make it with like your $12,000, but this dude did it with a laptop and headphones. Like I don't want to hear any excuses. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to hear any excuses. Like you can do it with whatever.
Yeah, it's true. I think Billie Eilish's whole first record was done in like a bedroom.
It was. Yeah.
Which is
her
crazy.
Her and her brother Phineas. Yeah, exactly. And that's the type of shit where it's like they have the exact same speakers that you have. The HS5, the Yamaha really? HS5s.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yes. So cool. Because those are the speakers that I have. So when I saw that you had them, you have like the white ones, the inverted ones, and those are such classics. And it's just like they're classics for everybody. You know what I mean? Like that's what Billie Eilish started on. You know what I mean? It's just like in a bedroom, like with a bed in it, like with an actual bed in it. Like,
you don't have to have this certain setup in order to be considered, you know, a producer or, you know, to be considered a professional.
Yeah,
like that's, you know, that's whole stigma around what it should look like. And it's, you know, bullshit.
It is. It is 100%.
You can do it yourself. You can do it however you want.
Yeah. People put like restrictions where it's just like, I can't make this record if I don't have XYZ.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, don't want to hear it. It's like not true. And it's like, it's almost like if you put like I guess the same way that I think about it, like with like photographers.
Yeah.
Like you can give a professional photographer the shittiest camera, and with the right lighting, composition, and framing, or like I guess like lens or whatever, like whatever they choose, like to use the settings and stuff like that, like the details of the shitty camera, they'll create a better image than someone using a $10,000 camera that doesn't know what they're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. And your editing, it's all, you know, it's subjective, obviously, to whoever's on the other side of it. But yeah, there's a lot you can do. Yeah. You only limit yourself if you're putting a restriction on how you're going about doing it.
Exactly. And it's almost like what you're doing now is like a bridge to later on. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like,
see, and the thing is, where I am at now, I never thought I would be. But I think about producers in like these huge studios who have all of these buttons and it's scary. I don't know what any of that is. And being able to run all these different cables, and that terrifies me. I don't know if I'll ever be there, but that's the thing, is you just don't know. And I didn't know I would be here. So
exactly. It's like 5 years from now, we'll be having this conversation and be like, yeah, so I got a 24-track Pro Tools rack here.
Oh
we got the Neve preamps on all those guys. We got
who knows?
No,
crazy.
I love that you took that step, because it's almost like it allows you to get your ideas out and like spill them out on paper in a professional way, in a way where it's just like it's layers, it's like mixing in a way.
Different.
It's like it's not just pressing record,
Yeah.
and then just like doing a session.
It's an evolution. And
Yeah.
I think people like to see that. They want to see that you're constantly wanting to learn.
Yeah.
You're wanting to grow. You're not limiting yourself in any way,
Yeah.
you know? And the creativity can be whatever you want it to be. Like there's no limits.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think it can be a beautiful journey if you let it.
For
be.
sure. Exactly. It's in this conversation, like you can like see like the passion that you have for it, where it's just like it always comes back to just like never give up, keep doing it.
Yeah.
You know, like love what you do what you love, like that energy.
Yeah.
And it's like that. I mean, it makes sense that you're in the position that you're at, because like those are the people that end up making it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm still working, I'm still working on it. And
Yeah.
it's, even though I have had some success, I'm still, I don't think I'm where I'm meant to be yet. And that's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
I feel like compelled to do it.
Yeah.
If I didn't, I wouldn't be meant to do it. If you don't feel compelled to do it. And it's a blessing and a curse because it's hard. It's so hard.
Yeah.
I cannot stress that enough. It's hard for everyone, no matter what stage, no matter what level you're on. It's difficult because it's hard to see the other side.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing where it's like you got to have like that confidence and like almost like get rid of like the fear of unknown in a way, where
So
it's just
hard
like,
to
because it's
do.
always going to be there.
Yeah.
It's like the fear or like the unknown is in like the future being unknown is like that's the only thing that's consistent. It's just like
It's true.
that nothing's guaranteed.
You have to accept that you are going to struggle.
For sure. And go into it with that mindset of like, this is going to be like this might take me 10 years. You know, this might take me 20 years. You know what I mean? And it's
and there's no age where you have to stop. Like,
exactly.
you can find success, especially now that we have all these platforms and tools in our hands. You can be as old as you want.
For sure.
And you can still find success.
Absolutely.
Like, there's just for a long time, I thought I had to be, early 20s, 25 max in order to make it in the industry. And, I'm older than that now, and I don't feel that way anymore. I don't feel like I need to be somewhere by a certain age.
Yeah. And I think that's when it's like when you get rid of like all the stigma, because that's what it is, stigmas. It's just like all like what you're told is supposed to happen. Like if you're not signed by 25, good luck making it in the industry.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's what a lot of people say, which is like that's just not the case. Yeah. And there's also so many different like lanes of creative industries that if you really love it, you'll find a way in however you got to get in. And it's like I know people that are in like the like movie space that like they're not James Cameron, but they're making movies and like they're creating films with like all this equipment that they Pat Harney, Pat.
Oh yeah,
that's like
what's he doing now?
He's killing it. He's like working full time with like he's a director of photography, so he like shoots basically like video for companies and then like sends it off and their team edits and stuff.
That's what he was doing. I remember. Correct me if I'm wrong, but was he working with like Gatorade or Nike? Okay.
He was working at Gatorade, the headquarters in Chicago.
Okay,
so he's working at exactly.
He's still doing it?
Well, not with Gatorade.
Oh, okay.
But with a different company now, because he was for the longest doing like freelance. So he's like his own independent contractor and just taking gigs, and like he had clients that he would work with pretty often, like on a regular basis. And then one of those clients offered him a job. And so basically like now he works for that company shooting their videos, because it's not like just like social media content, it's like actual like videos and
That's
stuff.
Cool.
But then he doesn't even need to edit them, but it's like he loved like the industry so much, he just like did whatever it took to stay in that industry.
Yeah.
And it's just like I think that's like with any creative people, like you gotta be willing to like maneuver and like, because he started with like fucking skate videos, you know what I mean?
Right. And I think that's where the expectations come in, where it's like you can't expect it to go the way you want.
Right.
Like you have to be open to changes.
Yeah. It's like have a goal, but then like be willing to be like adaptive in a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in creative, in all fields, I feel like that's like great advice for anybody. It's like if you're at a place where like you might not feel super encouraged or like super inspired right now, or like you're in a slump, you know, like you feel like you're not the best person that you could be. That's just like, that's part of it, you know, like you're just in a slump, and it's like, it's just a matter of time before that kind of comes back up, and like the roller coaster of life. I feel like this never ending in the worlds that we live in.
Well, and I think it's important to remember that everyone struggles.
Yeah.
Like everyone at one point in time in their career has been in a low place, has struggled. You're not alone in that. So I remember I had just been dumped. This was over 4 years ago. And I had gone out with my friend, Kalie Shorr. We were out for drinks, and it was, what was it? She was playing at the Ryman. She has played the Opry before. That's the Grand Ole Opry.
Huge.
And they were performing at the Ryman, on the Ryman stage. And I think it was her first time on the Ryman stage. And I remember before I even moved to Nashville, visiting the Ryman, which is it's a huge venue.
Yeah.
All the greats have played there.
Yeah.
And just being like, this is so cool. Like, I'm never going to be here, but how cool is it? And we were talking, and I was just, I was in a bad place. I was sad. And I told her, I was like, I would love to come to your show. I'd love to watch you perform. She was like, you know what? Why don't you sing backups for me? And I think I died inside, because I was just like, no way. The Ryman? Are you kidding? And it was like, hands down, one of the best days of my life, best nights of my life. I was, again, terrified, because it was, us
Huge.
On stage in, like one of the most iconic venues.
Yeah.
And I was singing, doing my most favorite thing, singing backup vocals. It felt more like a duet, because we were like kind of side by side, but it was just the coolest experience ever. And that never would have happened if, one, I hadn't been dumped. Two, I hadn't put myself out there and gone out and talked to people, reconnected with people. And, three, when I least expected it.
Exactly.
So it was a huge milestone for me, and, life changing.
Yeah.
And I never would have thought it possible
exactly.
in a million years.
It is so unexpected. And I feel like, and it happened at the low point in your life. And it's just like, that's how it happens. Where it's just like, oh man, I feel like that's, and anybody that doesn't know the Grand Ole Opry, that's like one of the biggest music venues in country music. Like, like for sure. Like in Nashville, I feel like, it's just historic.
They have the Grand Ole Opry, I think, over by Opryland, and then they have that same show, like the Grand Ole Opry show, on the Ryman stage occasionally. So it's usually over in the Grand Ole Opry itself, but then they also have the Opry at the Ryman.
I see.
So it's the same performance, it's just a different stage.
I see. So it's like it's still branded as like the Opry, but it's just a different theater, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, I mean, what are the chances it was at the Ryman? Because I'd always wanted, like, that was an impossible dream. Yeah. For me.
When you first saw it, you're like,
full circle.
Yeah.
It's full circle. And
I love that.
I want to get a tattoo of a circle that has the date on it, because it's so significant for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's one of those moments that, like, it's confirmed, like, I'm where I need to be right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, you know what? I could quit today, quit music, and I'd be so fulfilled still.
I'd still have stories.
I would never, but then again, I'd be so miserable, because I wouldn't be doing what I'm meant to be doing.
Exactly.
So, however it plays out is how it's supposed to play out. So I keep that in mind on the hardest days, or on days when I don't want to do it. I'm like, you know what? It's what's meant to happen will happen. Exactly. So long as I put the work in.
That's right. 100%. And you say it best, like, just like that. I mean, it's like, I feel the energy of like you are like a true artist. You know what I mean? Like someone that is like, has that, I keep saying, but like that burning passion, you know what I mean? And that's something that I feel like I've always had, to a certain degree. And it's like, obviously
you have to have that passion, or you wouldn't do it.
Exactly. And it's like, it's so cool to like see that, and like, to kind of like know that like you had it just based off of like what you've been able to achieve from
Yeah.
like, and I've only obviously seen it for the past 10 years via social media and whatever you do choose to post. You know what I mean? So there's a
Not
lot.
very often.
It's not
but
very
yeah.
often, but it's just like just kind of these snapshots of your life to see like,
Yeah.
oh, she's still out here. You know what I mean? She's still out here doing it. And that's always been like, hell yeah, hell yeah. And, you know, I've commented on some of like your production stuff.
Yeah.
Like, this is
Which
sick.
I appreciate. It's
Of
very
course.
nice to have people, you know, validate your existence in an industry like that, you know?
for sure. But it's like, but I can like, even in those like posts, it's just like that, like it brings it up to attention. Like, well, she's still out here. She's still out here doing it.
I
You know what I mean?
pepper it in every now and then.
Yeah. it's just
like, hey, I'm still here.
yeah. Hey, don't forget about me. I swear I'm still making music.
Yeah. I
It's-
could never
yeah.
be one of those people that posts every day, like multiple
Yeah.
times. I just don't know. I don't know how people do it. It's
Yeah.
so much content. It's so much work. And I hate social media.
Yeah. Maybe.
It's horrible because it works against me,
Yeah.
you know? So if I'm going to give advice to anyone, you know, social media is your biggest tool.
Yeah.
Use it.
Yeah. Once you're big and an artist, we'll have a social media team for you.
Yeah, I need it now. I'm like, somebody create the content so I don't have to deal with it. I go days without even opening an app. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want to.
That's
Like,
good.
I grew up that way. I grew
Exactly.
up not using my phone.
Yeah.
So I feel like an old person, but at the same time, it's been hard to adapt. But it is important
Yeah.
for your career.
For sure. In any entertainment field, I
Yeah.
feel like it's almost like a necessary.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, of
Yeah.
course. Because you could still obviously still make moves and still
Yeah.
make money
Definitely.
outside of social media. It's not the end all be all, but if you're like,
Yes.
you know, trying to like meet people and like have like it's like your online resume in a way.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like-
No, it is.
it's
People
like-
can see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, I like her stuff or I like his stuff.
Yeah.
Like their sound. I'm going to message them. And again, that's putting yourself out there, which is a scary thing to do. But if you didn't, it'll never happen.
yeah.
So like if I think about it, I'm like, if I didn't go up to people when I was drunk at bars and be like, let's write, never would have happened. Like that's when you put yourself out there. Maybe I needed a little liquid courage, but like I put myself out there and you have to do it.
For sure.
So
Exactly. It's like whatever it takes. And that's like
Yeah.
if you're a shy person, like maybe have a few drinks, like break down that barrier of shyness, and then maybe you're more open to talking with people if that's what it takes. You know, it's like
yeah.
obviously not everyone is gonna be the same, but it's like, hey, you do whatever you gotta do to like make sure it happens. It's
Yeah.
like-
You can find a little comfort when you're outside of the box in some way.
for sure.
When you feel, you know, when you're scared.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I try. So when you said, is the artist thing out of my mind? I try. There are some opportunities. I avoid it as much as possible, but there are some opportunities that have come up, like singing at the Ryman. And even, you know, a few years ago, singing at the Listening Room, being able to catch up with Brett Young again.
Yeah.
What was that supposed to happen? We lost power.
So yeah, you're saying Listening Room, like reconnecting with Brett Young.
Yeah, so how that transpired was I had gone out. My friend had been the booking agent at a restaurant/bar nearby. I'd gone out because I saw someone I knew on the roster and, you know, just went to listen and introduce myself. And I ended up meeting Matt Ferranti, who was Brett's guitar player at the time. And he's also an artist himself.
Okay.
And we were chatting and talking. He's like, you know, I'm playing at the Listening Room. Brett's going to be a guest on it, special guest, surprise guest, and you should come out and play. And I was like, oh my God, I would hate to, but love to at the same time. Like literally in my head, whenever somebody asks me to play, I'm like, no. But
Immediately
yes,
no, yeah, but
yeah,
yes.
it's like, oh, that sounds great. So I ended up doing it and it was
Yeah.
great. I don't regret it at all.
Absolutely.
It was just, you know, I struggle so much with that.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, had a shot before I went up and I was okay. So it's finding a little bit of comfort when you feel uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
It's important.
Yeah, and almost putting yourself in those like uncomfortable positions because
Yeah.
that's when you grow.
It
like,
is,
You
yeah.
grow so much when like you like put yourself in a position that you didn't think you could like handle. You know
And
what I mean?
you never know what it leads to. That's the thing.
Absolutely. Man, I love this.
Yeah.
This is so great. There's
Yay.
just a couple more things that I
Yeah.
have on here before we try to wrap up a little.
Okay.
So Songfinch.
Yeah.
So there was a clip that you posted that was amazing. It was a beautiful post, a Mother's Day post
Yeah.
of a song that you wrote, and watching it, it's like super hard to not like get goosebumps and feel the feels
emotion.
and like tear up a little bit. You know what I mean?
The way you love is a beautiful thing to see. Growing up, you passed it on to me.
I just want to talk about like that experience, like writing with Songfinch and how that happened and what that is.
Yeah. So they are a company where you can basically pay for someone to create a song for you, your personalized story, and put it into song form, basically. And they 100% deal with the customer. So you just have to be in the creative control mindset. And it's cool because you get all sorts of stories and opportunities from people. But yeah, they basically send you like a rundown, who it's for, the occasion, what kind of music, like what genre, tempo, all that stuff. And then they send you, who's this about? What do they mean to you? What are your must-haves? And there's 3 that you can have. So I got introduced to that through a friend. And I basically reached out and asked, I said, hey, I'm a songwriter in town. I'd love to be considered to, be a part of the team. And I sent a submission, basically an audition song. And they said, absolutely, you can, sign up.
I love it.
And so, yeah, I started with them. It was a learning curve at first because I didn't, obviously you get this brief and you're overwhelmed. You don't know where to start because it's brand new. I'm used to writing songs myself and not having to cater to anyone, other than the artists that I'm working with. But it's usually a therapeutic session. It comes naturally, whereas I'm not going by a list.
Prompt,
a prompt. And then also being nervous of your final product, if they're going to like it. You never know.
Especially if it's like Mother's Day.
Well, I've written wedding songs. Like, there's some big songs. And I usually spend a little more time on the wedding ones because I'm just like, this isn't just like a sit down and listen. It's going to be played for their dances or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's been fun. And I think the more you do it, the easier it gets. It's been great being able to be in my studio more often and having that source of income where I actually ended up quitting my serving job. And again, like at my age, I was still working at a restaurant. And I think it's important to not think of yourself in the terms of, oh, well, I'm still, I'm however old, I shouldn't be doing this job still, Because I would see people, they're 35 and they're working in a restaurant. And I thought back when I was, 20, whatever, I was like, oh, they're kind of old and they're still pursuing music and they're working here, but that changes.
Yeah.
But anyways, I was doing that just to be able to keep up with bills. And Songfinch came around and I was generating enough, revenue from that. And that's been a blessing.
Yeah.
So, and also being able to do something I love, even if it is not what I expected or not what I want to do, it's something that helps me grow and learn. So I know we've talked about growing and learning, but really it is. And I've gotten more comfortable with logic and being able to produce and mix and do all sorts of things that, have helped me become a better producer.
Absolutely. And it's like
a better songwriter.
For sure. And it's like the Songfinch is almost like forcing you to flex those muscles because it's like you're doing it for other people. And so like it's almost like it's a little bit more pressure in that sense because you're doing it for people that are like, having weddings, like giving it to their mom and stuff like that. So I feel like that's a very important part of like your growth as a producer and as a songwriter, even though like the songwriter, you got that in the bag, but it's just like,
thanks. I still have some doubts, occasionally. So I think it's It's nice of you to say that.
For sure. But it's like with the production stuff, like because you're still getting started, but it's just like this is almost like forcing you to like figure it out quick.
It is, yeah. Well, and I think it is a little bit more like depending on how you brand yourself and your sample songs that people can listen to, it's as intricate or simple as you want it to be. So it's the amount of effort that you put into it that you want to make it worth your time, obviously. So it's something that you can simplify if you need to, or it's something you can deck out, and
Yeah.
I think, doing that, I've learned how to utilize the tools that I need to on an everyday basis and understand, this, if I do this piano, it sounds better than that one. And if I, put this guitar on, that sounds good. So you learn and you get better. And I like that. I like that I'm spending time in that field, even if it's different than I thought. It's helping me grow.
Absolutely. It's helping you grow. And I'm sure it's super like, almost like satisfying in a way to see like those types of reaction videos. Because I don't know if you get reaction videos like that
Not
all the time.
but I've gotten a couple, and I've had people reach out over social media and just say how special it was and how much they loved it. And there's no like it's so satisfying. It's so rewarding, and you feel like you're making a difference.
Exactly.
And you don't always feel that way when you're doing something creative. So it's nice to get that recognition and again validation.
Yeah, for sure. From someone that was really impacted by it too. I think that's what's the most important part. Like it's not like they're trying to like hype you up to like whatever, like blow steam up your ass. Like they're doing this like from a very genuine place. Like this changed my life, you know what I'm saying, to a way, or like this, like, something that like my mom, I just referenced that video because she's like thinking about like, you can literally like see when the emotions hit these people. And it's just like, man, just
it
like.
Definitely brings me, whenever I watch it brings me to tears.
Yeah. Like even just watching it, doing the research, I was like, this is like immediate goosebumps.
Yeah.
And it's just like that type of stuff where it's just like all those little triggers of like emotion.
Well, and that's why we do it.
Exactly.
Except if most people, if you're doing it for the money, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Like it'll never be satisfying.
For sure.
The money is obviously a goal to be able to, for sustenance and, being able to live off of that. But having the impact is the most important.
Yeah.
Like, that's what the goal should be.
Yeah. Agreed. 100%. That's, I love it. And it's cool that you were given that opportunity to kind of like show people like, cause that's like because you don't really like you're not on social media all the time, you know what I mean? So this is like a way for you to like stay active in like that scene and like still be able to connect to a certain degree. Because like they did like a collaboration post with you.
It's passive because I don't have to do any work. But I think
you found a way.
I know, right? But that's the thing is it kind of, the universe made it happen.
Yeah.
But I was putting the work in. It's not that I wasn't. If I wasn't, then, it wouldn't have happened.
They wouldn't have even accepted
And I'm not saying, don't put, just expect things to fall in your lap. No, but you're putting the work in. You should just have clips of me answering my phone.
You're saying that you were putting the work in and you were like actively trying, to do this.
To make it fall in my lap.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
for sure.
Yeah, putting the energy into it matters. And I mean, it's cool because they had pushed it and promoted it on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram. And I think on Facebook, it got like 20 million views, which is crazy. I didn't get a lot of followers from it, but it's fine. You can't expect it to fall in your lap in every scenario way. But it was really cool to be able to see. And that's another thing is with social media, the numbers are so intimidating. Like you see millions now and you're like, oh, well, that's not, you see hundreds of thousands and you're like, it's not a million. It's not enough. And it's crazy because it puts so much pressure.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, if people aren't liking it enough, am I good enough? And it's hard. So that's why I try not to think about it too much. And
Yeah.
You can't think about it that way.
Yeah.
Like, you have to just be confident in what you're creating, put it out there, and keep putting it out there.
Absolutely. And yeah, and I couldn't have said it better myself, where it's like I've known people where I've created content for them and
Okay.
they post it. It's great content,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't get the engagement that they expect, and they
Yeah.
delete the post. And it's just like, so you're telling me you paid me for this work that I took my time and I put my creative energy
Yeah.
into, and then because you didn't get the immediate instant gratification of like 1,000 plays in a day, and now you deleted it because you feel self-conscious.
There's so many factors that go into that. You just don't know the algorithm. Like, there's all sorts of things with social media that just don't necessarily add up
Exactly.
to certain engagement, you know? But so many people measure their success on that, and it's sad.
They attach themselves to it.
Yeah.
100%.
And I mean, it's so easy to do that. And that's kind of one of the downsides of social media. But
Absolutely.
yeah, it's insecurity. Everyone has it.
Exactly.
It's hard to overcome.
And it's like you can have it and still like be confident. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and like know that like it's gonna be, you have to post like consistency with
Yeah.
quality, like consistency times quality. That's what the algorithm loves.
Yeah.
And it's like that's what you got to
It's
do.
true.
So it's just like if you're being consistent and you have quality content, it's just a
Yeah.
matter of time before the numbers will start to reflect that.
Right.
So
yeah.
it's just like, obviously it doesn't happen right away for everyone. Sometimes it takes months, you know, of
Mhm.
posting all the time, getting, you know, whatever. But it's got to be quality though. You can't just like put it out to put it out just because you feel like you need to post every day. And
yeah,
that's
true.
another like rat race people get into, where it's just like, well, I'm posting every day and I'm only getting 100 views. It's like, yeah, because the content
over
sucks.
quality. Yeah, you definitely want it reversed.
Exactly. It's like, it's better to have quality content with not consistent thing. It's like, but that's when the algorithm kind of works against you when you're not consistent.
It's tough.
Yeah. And that's like, that's something you'll get those like 1,000 plays, maybe, you know, like,
It's
but
tough to balance.
yeah, but I think that's something like, that's something to like kind of, just know that it's not gonna happen real fast all the time,
Yeah.
especially on social media. Like, and you know, people are paying for like verification now and
I
like
know,
stuff
it's
like that. And I'm
crazy.
like, dude,
It's crazy.
you have 500 followers,
I
dude.
know.
Why are you paying for a badge right now? Like,
The reason is because they stand out in the comments. If they're commenting on something and you see that blue check mark, you know,
guess
they
you're
stand out.
I guess
At
you're
least
right.
that's what I've noticed. Like, when I look at posts, I automatically look at the check mark ones because it stands out.
that's a good point.
I mean, I think that's the big reason why people do it. That's what I think.
Yeah, because I almost thought of it like, because people see it as like a status symbol. And, like,
I
that's
think it's
what
a combination. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's like the people that I've known that have purchased it for the most part have done
Yeah.
it to like, I don't know,
Level
themselves
make
up,
them
but like,
seem serious,
make-
professional.
yeah, like make them seem like at a higher level than they actually are at. And I guess,
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel
Yeah,
about
no,
that.
I think I would agree with you on that. I think it is, you know, a certain ego thing, but I only say this from experience because when I click on a post, I look at those comments because they're noticeable.
But then do you go to their profile and follow these people?
No.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Which is like they do it to like get people to like see them. But then if someone goes to the profile and
Yeah.
it's like you have 500 followers and you're following 3,000 and you have a blue check mark, immediately I'm swiping out of that page. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I thought you were somebody, but you're not.
They're putting themselves out there where they will get views.
That's
So
true.
there's always that potential of attracting new followers. So, you know,
Damn.
I see the appeal, but
yeah, both sides.
I
now that we're
don't. I
talking
would
through
never
it.
do it. I would never,
Yeah.
unless I had, you know, 20,000 followers. You know, something
Yeah.
bigger. Like, I don't. I have like 1,500. So I'm like, I'm not. You know, I'm a normal person.
Right.
I mean, we all are, but you know,
For
like,
sure.
I'm not a public figure, so I will
And I
not
mean-
present myself as one.
Yeah, and it's like, and I think that's like the thing that I like. I guess I don't want to say I have a problem with, because do you?
Yeah.
Everyone, do you? If you pay for a blue check, do you? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm not hating. I'm just saying I don't think that that's super healthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To like seek validation in that way, where it's just like to the point where like you want to basically like almost trick these people into thinking that like you're somebody.
Yeah.
Well, I guess somebody. You're a big deal. Like you're hot shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Whereas like it's almost like cooler now, like if you're big and don't have a check. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, they're so like, you know, like they're so like known and they don't care about it. Like
they have
I've
nothing
seen,
to prove.
They have nothing to prove,
Yeah.
you know, and like they don't care like to be like I don't need that blue check. Like take the blue check. Y'all gave it to me anyways. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the people that had it, you know, for 10 years now already.
Yeah.
It's like they're probably making hand over fist like meta on like the verified thing.
Yeah.
Just like so many people just like $10.
It's
$10.
crazy.
It's like, damn, dude.
I mean, all these platforms, you know, billions of dollars or whatever they have, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And we're just little pawns.
Yeah, it is. I can play chess in this game, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. So I guess to kind of tie it up here, moving forward, you know, obviously you're producing, you're writing all the time. You're doing work with Songfinch, but what's on the horizon for you? Do you have anything working that you're excited about?
Well, I'm always working on new music.
Solo?
Working with people. Yeah, I do solo stuff, and I work with a circle of artists that I really love and writers, and yeah, just developing my own skills with production and songwriting. Still always, you know, learning and trying to become better. I've also been trying to get into sync stuff, which is, you know,
that's sync licensing. Yeah, like for movies, TVs,
yeah,
stuff like that.
Because
Yeah,
I've always been intrigued. I always wanted a song on Grey's Anatomy, but you know, that's kind of, I don't know if it's ended yet, but
if it
my
hasn't,
TV show,
goddamn,
it's like what, 19 seasons or something? But that was always a dream. But
Yeah.
you know, yeah. So I've been trying to learn how to produce those kind of songs. And I have had the opportunity to be able to do that, which has been fun. But I haven't had, I think I had a placement in an indie film within the last year, I think. But other than that, you know, it's just everything's a work in progress. And I'm, wherever it leads me, you know, I'm happy with. I want to be able to, I've been creating content or trying to create content where I can post videos of songs I've written with experiences, basically, or ways to promote myself, because I do want to start doing that on social media.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there's always things in the works, but you know, I don't have like set plans on when things will happen.
Yeah. And
So.
yeah, for sure. Or any like dates set for anything like coming out or anything like that.
No, I don't
Yeah.
have any dates set.
Yeah. I mean,
It kind of
yeah.
happens like spur of the moment too, because I've had a friend who, her name's Liv Kalie, and she's released a couple singles now that I've produced and co-produced, and it's just kind of like last minute. It's crazy, like things, you know, when you least expect it. So,
Yeah, exactly.
and then I had another friend I wrote a song with maybe 5 years ago, who released a song that we wrote together, and it's just had a lot of independent cuts, but they come out randomly. Like
Yeah.
you'll get a heads up and be like, oh, well, I want to, you know, I love the song, I want to release it.
Yeah.
So
It's almost like staying ready so you don't have to get ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're constantly working. So when these opportunities come up, it's like, yep, I'm
Yeah.
there. Let's get it.
Yeah,
It's like
things-
you're ready. It's like,
and you know, a lot of it too I've prepared for. I've, you know, created the demo or done the work ahead of time, and so when it does happen, it's mostly there.
yeah, I love that. Hey, well, I'm so glad that you took the time to do this. Thank
Yeah,
you.
of course.
This has been an amazing conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yeah.
And my fellow Martians, please go follow Annie, because she's not going to be the one to promote herself, but I'm
yeah,
going to
I
do
know,
it
right?
now. Go follow her on Instagram at Annie Wildgen. I'll put the handle right
you.
here. And, you know, support her with whatever she does. You know, book her on Songfinch if you got an event coming up or you got a
Yeah.
special occasion for someone you care about. But no, this is awesome. Yeah, thank you again. This
Yeah,
is
of
so
course.
great.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And then
was
go follow
fun.
me on at On Mars Pod, and we will see you guys next time. Love you. Yes.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching this episode of the On Mars Pod and for sticking around to the end, man. I really appreciate you guys. You are the real Martians. Like this video, comment below what your favorite part was, what was most inspiring to you. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications here on future interviews coming out soon, and also follow us on Instagram at On Mars Pod. Love you guys so much. We will see you next time on Mars.
Have you ever had a female on your podcast yet?
Well, I recorded one. I haven't released it.
Okay.
But
Oh.
like 2 episodes from now.
Okay, I need to see this video one more time. Can you? I'm sorry. I'm nervous. This is what happens when I get nervous. All right. I think that's good. I won't bother you anymore. We're good. You're like, shut up, please.
All right, here we go. We got,
Oh, have you been recording this whole time? Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Check.
Perfect.
You don't say check. What do you say? Action.
Action.
Right.
Perfect. Every time I start a pod, it's like I start sweating at the beginning because I'm just like, I get those nerves and stuff.
You gotta get like a powder set next to
dude.
you.
I gotta fucking get a little
One of those
towel
little,
here.
yeah.
Dang.
Makeup team, where are you?
Exactly, dude. What the fuck is this solo production shit?
Yeah. I'm like, can you just block me out the whole time?